right? Then IMA, Institute of Management Accountants, this is like cost accountants. Then AICPA, this is like the auditing community and the professional accountants, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. IMA is the institute which is conducting the CMA examination. Then BIAA, Institute of Internal Auditors. So these are the 5 organizations, and this 5 organizations form this commission. So this is called Committee of Sponsoring Organizations, right? Committee of These are the 5 organizations which form the National Commission of Fraudulent Financial Reporting. So this Committee of Sponsoring Organization of Treadway Commission, because James C. Treadway was the first chairman, so it is simply called Treadway Commission or COSO. COSO means Committee of Sponsoring Organization. It was a joint initiative of 5 private sector organizations, right? COSO was formed in 1985 and is dedicated. See, the COSO's objective was to provide thought leadership through development of frameworks and guidance on 3 areas. One, enterprise risk management. The other is internal control. Third is fraud deterrence. So this COSO, Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of Treadway Commission, was formed in 1985 as National Commission of Fraudulent Financial Reporting to provide thought leadership through development of frameworks and guidance on 3 areas. One is ERM, the other is internal control, and the third area is fraud deterrence. Out of that, internal control is covered in part 1 of the CMA examination. In that area, COSO has come up with a framework called internal control and integrated framework. So we will be learning about that. And fraud deterrence as a part of ethics, like earlier, ethics and risk management were clubbed together with some 20% or 25% weightage. Now it is divided, like 10% is for the risk management and 15% is for the ethics portion. So there we will be covering fraud and the ingredients of fraud, all that. But the notable contribution of COSO in the fraud deterrence area, they have taken up a 10-year period, 1987 to 1997, no, I think earlier to that, some 10-year period, it's not straight coming into my mind. So 10-year period, all the cases in United States, the first edition had first 10-year period, I believe. It is 1987 to 1997, yes, 1987 to 1997 period, almost 10 to 11 years as such period. During that period, all the cases involving of all the fraudulent situations, the cases involving fraud in US stock market registrants involving using were covered in that. What is the situation, all that, for the benefit of people to read and then understand. They had published, they have covered all the fraud cases from 1987 to 1997, right? I think so, yeah. And 1997 to 2007 10-year period, they had covered in the second edition, right? So they had come up with very good compilation, very informative one, that is their notable contribution in the fraud deterrence area, right? So internal control you will be covering in the part 1, the COSO framework. Fraud deterrence we will be learning, but not COSO's individual cases. We don't have that kind of emphasis in CMA examination. And in part 2, now we are going to learn the ERM framework. This was actually like in 2004, the first framework was published by COSO, that was titled Enterprise Risk Management and Integrated, ERM Integrated Framework. In the case of internal control and integrated. You know, like in that deliberation, internal control is a way to manage risk. I'll tell you how it is happening. You have the governance, you have the objective, and risk is considered as an unforeseen obstacles to your objectives, so risk management. And internal control is considered an integral part of the risk management. This is the way they were looking at it. So internal control is a way to manage risk, and they were giving a framework for. So these are related aspects, you understand that. So they were giving a good understanding about the elements of internal control, right? And then the steps, the principles and the steps involved in that, the procedures, processes involved in that. That is how they have a cube structure to explain that. You know, like this COSO is an organization of this 5 sponsoring organization. More normally, the chairman of this 5 organization will be meeting together, and then they will be developing all these things. But the real pen to paper work was done by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. They were the secretaries. They were appointed as the secretary of COSO. So they were giving out that. Maybe because of that, or because of the way the internal control and the risk management is so interconnected, so much related. When they came up with the framework for ERM, people all thought that this was like replacing the internal control framework, because the graphics were same and the terminologies were mostly same, because we are dealing with the same thing, right? Because internal control is an integral part of risk management, so you have to explain the same thing. But people felt that this is like a bigger brother of the internal control. That's the way that the COSO cube, everything, COSO ERM cube, it was like, if the other one had 5 elements, this had the 8 elements. That's the thing. So that is the way they had come up, and the look and feel of all the graphics were the same. And then, of course, as time go by, the risk management was getting very good prominence. People were really taking this seriously. The businesses were taking this very seriously. Obviously, like 10-15 years is a long period in dynamic business world. So they had an update. So they addressed the issue of the graphics. Now in 2017, they updated this 2004 ERM framework. Now it's called ERM, Integrating with Strategy and Performance. That is supposed to be an update of the 2004 framework. Actually, it is like to be coming and then superseding the 2004, but even now they haven't taken a decision to really supersede that, so it is coming an update. So you have to ERM framework, ERM integrated, but sooner or later they will be saying that this is no more applicable, because whenever there is a framework, this is to be implemented in an organization with like under each principles, all that you have formats and you have terminologies, you have assignment of responsibilities, organization structure alignment, all those things are needed. On a fine morning, you cannot say that this is no more applicable, now new terminology. So they have to have a transition from the old implementation framework to the new framework. So eventually they will do it. So this 2000 framework, which is called ERM, Integrating with Strategy and Performance, would be the only framework. But currently, this ERM integrated framework is also there. But it is clarified that you will not be learning about ERM integrated framework. But when CMA curriculum now unambiguously talking about ERM integrating with strategy and performance, that is the one you need to learn as ERM framework, COSO ERM framework. So we'll be learning about that only, not the I think in this 2021 edition there is no mention about the 2004 framework also to that extent. But if some of you are having the other framework which is applicable even now, it is not superseded, but you will only be concentrating about on ERM, integrating with strategy and performance. That is what we call this the ERM framework for your examination purpose. So the 2017 update. So it highlights the importance of considering risk in both strategy setting process and driving performance. So here I was explaining you like the risk was considered as unforeseen obstacles to your pursuit of objectives, and then how to address that. That is risk management. And then you are seeing internal control as an integral part of the risk management. But actually speaking, this is like only covering only a portion of the risk management. What is risk management? Risk, I mean, when the business activity, you can really see that the mission, vision, core values are getting translated into enhanced performance and value, shareholders' value. So mission, vision, core values of the organization are getting translated into shareholders' value, right? Shareholders' value maximization. The reason for every organization is to maximize the shareholders' value. That is the single most objective, or that is the objective of every organization. Every business entity, like not every organization, I can say every business entity. Maximization of shareholders' value. So you are translating mission, vision, and core values into value. That is the business. In that, you are creating value through enhanced performance, right? There you will be having a business strategy, and based on your business strategy, the line of business you want to really go for, you will be setting business objectives, and then you will be monitoring the performance of that objective. So the performance aspect is coming there, but that's the way you are having. But then when you fix up a strategy, some businesses will have, like some activity will have more risk than the other activity. So when you set the strategy, in the strategy setting itself, you need to consider risk, right? And so in the risk is there in the strategy setting, and then when you are really going for a strategy, that strategy may not be in alignment with the new business you are going to really get into. That may not be in alignment with mission, vision, and core values. That is another risk. And that new business may cannibalize your existing business. So that's called the implications from the strategy and the implications from the chosen strategy, right? So that is one thing. So this is like the, okay, you are having the what is written here, I cannot, okay, the possibility of strategy not aligning with your mission and vision. That is another thing. And then that chosen strategy will have cannibalization of the existing businesses, right? There will be implications from the chosen strategy. That is another thing. And then, of course, for that strategy, whatever objectives you have set, there will be unforeseen obstacles. That's the performance aspect of it. So risk to strategy and performance. There are three areas. Like earlier, only this was considered in the old one. I mean, at least the emphasis was given only on risk to the chosen strategy and what are the unforeseen obstacles facing that objective. And they have broadened that scope, right, unambiguously. Now you need to consider, you need to integrate that with the objective setting, and you need to really integrate objective setting and the performance when you really go for risk management, right? That's the new way of looking at it. And then the new graphics have come, which is really very meaningful. This is one graph there, one graphic you are So there, enterprise risk management integrating with strategy and performance is a framework that complements and incorporates some of the concepts of COSO internal control framework. So that is not, that internal control framework is there. That is about the internal control. This is about risk management. Internal control is only a portion of that this risk management. But risk management is having a broader scope. It is not only there in the performance of one business strategy, the risk affecting those business strategy, the implications arising from that, and then the strategy not aligning with the mission vision, all those things are to be covered in that, and they are covered in the new COSO ERM framework. So the new COSO ERM framework provides a basis for coordinating and integrating all of an organization's risk management activities. So here you are talking about an integrated framework. Effective integration, like when you are integrating all of the activities together, then it improves decision making and enhances performance. So we will be going into the risk management, the COSO ERM framework. Let's take the COSO ERM framework. So give me half a minute break back. So the COSO ERM framework defines ERM as the culture, capabilities and practices integrated with strategy setting and performance that organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving and realizing value. So the organization's objective is to create, preserve and realize value, and the ERM is the culture, capabilities and practices the organization rely on to manage risk in achieving that objective. So ERM is defined as everything you rely on to manage risk to achieve the objective of maximizing the shareholders' value. So ERM is defined as the culture. Culture is the belief, attitude, what you are having in the organization, right? Capabilities is the skills needed to achieve those objectives. Practices is the way you do it, actually, the procedures you are having, the processes you are having it in place, right? The culture is to do with the belief and attitude of people. Capabilities are the skill levels and competence involved in it. Practices are the processes involved in it, right? So the culture, capabilities and practices organizations rely on to manage risk to achieve the objective of shareholders' wealth maximization. So here you are explaining that what is value maximization. Create, preserve and realize value. Create value. How do you create value? When you have the benefits exceed cost, you create value. How do you preserve? Without that losing, you sustain that value created. Otherwise, you will be having cost cutting and revenue maximization, everything you will be doing, you will be creating value, whatever value you have created can get eroded, right? Erosion. That means there is no point in creating value. So you should preserve, you should sustain that value, right? Then only value maximization is possible. So you should create value means what? Benefits should exceed cost. Preserve means you should sustain. Realize means what? You will be transferring that benefit to the shareholders. Meaning what? You should really distribute that profit, right? That is also like not really having there the organization of shareholders wealth maximization. If you maximize the wealth of the shareholder, that is also there, like having timely dividend, everything, that is realizing value. So that is also involved in, that is also like a part of the value maximization. Value of the shareholder is getting maximized, not necessarily within that. So it's about creating value, sustaining it, and then transferring this benefit to the shareholders. So these are the elements of the value maximization. And your ERM is defined as the culture, capabilities and practices organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving and realizing value. That is what is called enterprise risk management, right? And that should be integrated with strategy setting and performance. Earlier edition was really concentrating, somehow the emphasis was only on the performance. Performance means all your risk management activities, the step 1 to 5 I have told you, no? Like when you have an objective, you know what you're trying to achieve, what all risk you can have, those are covered in that 1 to 5. But then it is integrated with strategy setting and performance, meaning the other two aspects are also coming, the implications arising from strategy and the chosen strategy not in alignment with the mission vision, right? So integrating with strategy setting means the chosen strategy is in alignment with the mission, vision and core values. So what is mission, vision and core values? Right? Mission is what you do today to achieve your vision. So vision is long term and aspirational. You seldom achieve that, but you should always strive to achieve that vision. So it is long term, it is aspirational, it is about future. Whereas mission is what you do today to achieve your long-term mission. Right? So what you do today means that's the business purpose you are having. That's the business model you are having. How you do it today, what you do today, when you do it, all those things are covered in the mission. So the very purpose of the organization, its goals, everything is coming in there in the mission statement. Whereas vision is more long-term and aspirational. So whether vision should be there first or mission should be there after that, don't worry about it. Actually, when you do a business, sooner or later you should have a clarity about your vision. It need not be always like vision first and then mission. No, there's no particular order about it. But obviously, when you analyze your mission, that should be for the achievement of your long-term mission. There is no doubt about that. You can really have a line of business, and then when you think of it, like say for example, you are having manufacturing of cereals, right? Uh, then like cereals like cornflakes, all that, right? So you manufacture that. That is to create, preserve, and realize value for the shareholders. So you are having that business there. But then when you really talk about creating and preserving that value, it is actually not possible unless you have a long-term vision. So that long-term vision can come after having this business for some time as such, right? So your vision can be like an organization independent vision also, that can be very broad, like say for example a healthier world, right? That can be your vision. For a healthier world you can do so many things. One of the ways you can have a healthier world is actually to have good food, right? So that is like your mission is now coming. But you can also start like, I want a healthier world, and then what can I do? You can brainstorm it, and you can have like gymnasiums all over the world, right? And you can have like gymnasium or food manufacturing. So many things as such you can do it. That is also possible. I'm not saying that, but you need to identify your vision. You need to identify your mission, and it doesn't really matter which comes first. Vision is about long-term aspirations. Mission is about what you do today to achieve those long-term missions. And then the way you do it, actually, you should not be compromising certain core values which you think. Like it's like your mission may be to achieve health, but health in what way as such? They may be having like not sacrificing the uh, interest of the employees, not sacrificing the concerns of the people around you. So those are your core values. So those are like some values, then some way you like some what you 1 minute. I'm just having some disturbance. Let me sort out that and come back. Okay, so when you integrate with strategy setting and performance, you should really see that you are trying to really see the implications arising from the strategy, and how strategy not aligning with mission, vision, and core values, and obviously like when you go for that chosen strategy, how the performance, like you will have that 5 steps in risk management, everything will come under the performance. So what I have explained you are there. Culture consists of the attitude, behavior, and understanding about risk. And mission is the organization's core purpose. Vision is the organization's aspirations of for what it intends to achieve over time. Core values are the organization's essential belief about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So somehow achieving your vision is not good enough. Actually, it should be through acceptable means. So you have some values, and you need to really have like your objective may be to amass big wealth, but then that should not be through like some people like liquor, tobacco, all those things may be prohibited for them. Forbidden for them. So those things are your values. So whatever is acceptable and whatever is not acceptable should be taken care when you think about aligning with, I mean, when you think about strategy setting. Capabilities are the skills needed, practices are the collective methods used to manage risk. Integrating with strategy, I have already told you, like you have to really see how strategy, the chosen strategy level is, and the risk, the performance level and the risk is really getting affected, and are you managing the business? Are you managing the risk within the risk appetite or not? So you really, whenever you fix up a strategy in the strategy setting, you really have to really see that the risk is managed within the risk appetite, right? So you need to really have a risk profile for every strategy, right? Every business objective also can have a risk profile. So let me explain you the risk profile. I have a chart, the same thing, but it's a color one. Yeah. Risk profile is a composite view of risk related to specific strategy or business objectives and their effect on performance, right? So you have performance. This is actually like seeing the relationship between performance and risk. And this is the graph you're talking about. As the performance go up, the risk also will go up, right? So this is that relationship. As the level of activity go up, the risk involved also will go up. Almost like a straight line, but it's not purely straight line. It's a convex shape as such. As the level of risk, as the level of performance go up, the risk also is to go up. But here you should really see that. So the whole thing is what is called risk profile. This risk profiling can be done for every objective. This risk profiling can be done for every chosen strategy. You can have like a portfolio view of risk, that is the culmination of all these things actually. That is the entity-wide strategy analysis. You can really see entity-wide performance and entity-wide risk when you're taking it. It is a truly portfolio. That's a composite view of the entity-wide strategy and entity-wide. So the highest level of the risk profiling is the portfolio. There we are taking the entity-wide risk and entity-wide performance. But you can do this risk profiling for every chosen strategy, right? So I had already explained you this concept, but this graph is there to really reinforce what I had told you in the general theory. This is the graph, this is the graphic there in the coso framework. We will go through that. So as the performance is going up, the risk is also going up, right? That is there. And you should not be crossing your risk appetite. So this is the risk appetite. So that means actually from this level you should not be going for performance. So this is like this area you should not be really, this area is outside your risk appetite, right? Actually speaking, this thing, but once you cross this level of performance, you will come into this area. Once you cross this performance level, this will extend beyond the risk appetite. So this is the point you need to limit your activity. Let me take another one. This is the point at which you should limit your activity. But then things are actually having so much uncertainty. And you should also understand that this is what is called risk appetite. And this risk appetite should be kept below the risk capacity. Right? A person who is having so much financial needs, 5 small kids to take care of, cannot say that I can withstand anything, no problems, I will put all my money in share market. That is not a true risk appetite. The correct risk appetite is never placed above the risk capacity, it will be only below the risk capacity. Risk appetite and risk capacity. So risk capacity should be above that. You should understand that point. Other than that, there is no implications of the risk capacity. You should be managing the risk based on your risk appetite. Only thing you should understand that risk appetite is rarely placed above the risk capacity. And a rational person will always place the risk appetite below the risk capacity. And when it comes to an organization is not an individual, but then you should really see the willingness of the people who are managing the organization. Their risk appetite is what is coming there. And who are the people who are managing it actually. Risk appetite is defined by the board. And it is communicated through the management. We will go into that. But that's about the thing. But first of all, you understand what is risk profiling. So you understood risk capacity, and that should be higher than the risk appetite, or in other words, risk appetite should be within the risk capacity. And this is the level. But then every area will have some risk, and some risk you need to manage. You go for risk control activities, and there you have a tolerance, like the actual residual, your targeted residual risk should be fixed up in such a way that the tolerance level, with the upper tolerance level, it should not be crossing the risk appetite. So you can come a bit more into this, but the upper control limit should not be crossing your risk appetite, because your targeted residual risk can have a variation. That variation should be within your upper control limit, and this need not be like equidistant from here. You can have this thing, but again, you are worried about, in finance, normally you are worried about this, like risk exceeding risk appetite. So the upper control limit of your tolerance should be well within your risk appetite. That's the meaning of this. So this is a very good chart. So you should read it this way. You have a targeted, because why? The actual residual risk, let me take another ring. The actual residual risk may be somewhere here. The straight line I'm trying to see. So that should be within that tolerance. Right? So you should always try to see that. So you should set this expected, the target residual risk, with its upper limit, it should not be crossing the risk appetite. So this is what is called risk profile. Okay. So here, a portfolio is similar to a risk profile. The difference is that the composite view of the risk related to entity-wide strategy and business objective and their effect on the entity performance is taken here. But risk profile for the whole entity is what we call it as portfolio view, you can say. Risk profile can be done for every objective, risk profile can be done for every chosen strategy, all that is possible. Okay. And who are the people? I mean, what are the roles and responsibilities of various people when it comes to ER, right? That I will take it on the next day. Today I will just cover the multiple choice questions from the study unit 1, the subunit 1, that is better. Okay. Organizations face several types of risk in pursuit of their strategies and objectives, right? We have seen some 5 types. I said there are no 5 types, there are several types of risk. The risk that the treasury function will fail to adequately reconcile the organization's bank statement is an example of what? Somebody who really guessed the answer, put that in the class conversation, then I will explain. The risk that treasury function will fail to adequately, thank you Sean, the risk that the treasury function will fail to adequately reconcile. So it is like inadequate or failed processes, people, system. That is operational risk. And what is hazard risk? It's like insurable risk, like fire, death of a key person, all that is coming under hazard risk. What is financial risk? Financial risk is like comprises of credit risk, market risk, and probably like now liquidity risk. That is one way to think, but this is about, it's not about credit risk, it's not about liquidity risk, it's not about market risk. It is about some failed or inadequate processes. So that is operational risk. What is strategic risk? It's a big picture, like strategic risk is changing perceptions, reputation risk, regulatory risk. All those things will be coming under strategic risk. So this is not that. Next question. Self-insurance is a synonym for? Fast, because I want to finish off all the questions from this area. What is self-insurance? Just put, yeah, Nanma has given A as the answer, right? So self-insurance is a synonym for risk retention. Another synonym is risk acceptance, I told you. You need to really go for a cost benefit consideration also when you go for self-insurance, right? So self-acceptance, risk retention, and self-insurance, these are synonyms, I said. So this is the answer. But risk sharing, your normal insurance is a way to do the risk sharing. Risk transfer is another way of looking at risk sharing. So that is also a synonym, right? And risk transfer and risk sharing are same thing. Risk reduction and risk mitigation are synonyms. So these are not self-insured. This is the only answer. Next. A landlord owns an office building in a major floodplain. The landlord has decided to sell the building to a group of investors. So he is facing a risk and he is trying to do what? What is the risk response strategy when he is trying to sell that building to a group of investors, and when he get rid of? Good. He is avoiding that risk. It is not risk exploitation. Risk exploitation is the deliberate courting of risk to maximize the return, right? So you are seeking additional risk to maximize the risk return. That is what is called risk exploitation. Risk transfer is actually you are transferring to another person actually while holding that, while owning that, you are transferring the risk or sharing the risk with somebody else. Then risk reduction is like having so much control activities to mitigate the risk so that the risk is coming down to the risk appetite, below the risk appetite. A large multinational company currently has information technology department located in Germany, right? To reduce the risk of system failure, the company decided to split up the information technology department into two geographically separate locations and set up a new location in Singapore. The company can still face a catastrophic system failure, but the risk will be greatly reduced. The risk that remains after the company sets up the second information technology department in Singapore is thus described as, what is it? The risk remaining after implementing a risk response is what we call it, what we call, give the answer, residual risk. Anthony has given the answer. That is the risk remaining after the this thing. But the expected risk remaining after the chosen risk response is called targeted residual risk. But the actual can be different from the targeted, but you should manage a very good risk management system will manage the variations in that, the risk tolerance in such a way that the upper limit does not cross the risk appetite. So it is residual risk. So it is not hazard risk, it is not inherent risk. Inherent risk is the risk they have foreseen before that risk response. Question number 6. A farmers cooperative has a large amount of grain that it has gathered from its members and has stored in silos. This silo is the literal meaning of silos, right? Storage. The prices for grain are high, but none of the cooperative's customers is prepared to purchase any for the next 3 months, right? In order to hedge against an unfavorable change in the grain prices over the next 3 months, the cooperative will employ financial risk management technique known as, see, you are having a long position in the asset. So what type of hedge you should go for? Short hedge, right? So you are having a long position in the asset, Kevin. So you are owning. See, farmers cooperative is thinking about appropriate risk management technique. Farmers cooperative has a large amount of grain, so they already own. They have a long position in that asset. So what is the appropriate hedging? Short hedge. So question number 6, it's short. Assume that farmers cooperative is thinking about mobilizing grain because the grain will have a shelf life. They want to do that only after the rain is over. So they are concerned then about the price appreciation in that, actually, whether they will be able to afford that much grain. So in that case, they have a short position in the grain, they should go for a long hedge. So once you have a short position in the asset, you should go for long hedge. Once you have a long position in the asset, you should go for short hedge. That is the terminology you should use. So you understand the difference between short hedge and long hedge? And naked option means actually like you just want to speculate and then cash these this kind of price fluctuation, right? So that is naked option. You don't have a need to really either buy the grain or to sell the grain. You just know that okay, the grain is really going to become very dearer. It is going to get costly. So let me do one thing. Actually, let me uh, go into an appropriate hedging and make some money out of this expected price fluctuation. That is a gambling on that price, and that is what is called, when you don't have that underlying need underlying there, then it is called a naked option. You want to collect grain and you are really concerned about the price appreciation, then you can really go for what you say, like a put option on that. I mean, sorry, what is it actually? You want to grab, so that means you have a short position, so you can go for a call option. You have a short position, you can go for a call option. Then, of course, if the value is really going up, then the call option will save you. But the grain is really coming down in the value, then the call option premium is a loss. But then overall you are in a comfortable position. The gain on the grain losing in its value will help you purchase more grain. At the same time, your option is in a loss. But then that is only the premium you are really having. So naked option means you don't have any underlying position and then you are just trying to speculate and then get some money out of it. That is naked option. Interest rate swap, it has got nothing to do with this actually. Interest rate swap is actually if you have a fixed rate loan and you are worried that the market interest rate will fall, then you can really swap. You can swap this fixed rate loan with the floating rate loan. You can really fix up the underlying of the imaginary swap and then really see that you are not suffering a loss, right? So that is interest rate swap. So A is the only answer. So another 4 minutes I will be stopping the class. Then a toothbrush manufacturer has noticed the shift of customer preferences in its growing Asian sales market towards an electronic battery operated toothbrush from a manual toothbrush. What is saying? A toothbrush manufacturer has noticed that a shift of customer preference. So changing preference, changing taste. This shifting of customer taste best represents what type of risk to the toothbrush manufacturer. Is it an operational risk? Operational risk is the risk of inadequate or failed internal process of people's system process. So it's not operational risk. Is it financial risk? You can have a doubt because financial risk. No, it is not financial risk. Financial risk is about the debt component, even if you consider that way. Or financial risk can be comprising of the credit risk. What is it? Credit risk, market risk, and liquidity risk. Another way financial risk can be viewed as the leverage, like the debt position in the capital structure. In both ways, this is not a risk. Business risk, this is a business risk, there is no doubt about that. The demand for this product will come down, but best answer for this is strategic risk. That is fairly coming. Business risk is some risk that you will not make profit, right? Because of either the demand or because of the fixed component of capital, the capital having fixed charges, right? So that is operating risk. This is covered there, but more appropriate is strategic risk. Changing customer perception is categorized into strategic risk. Next, the CFO at a manufacturer of computer equipment learned last week that the accounting department has not completed any bank reconciliation for the last 6 months due to implementation of new accounting software package. What type of risk has been identified? Can you say? Give the answer. Give the answer in the class conversation. I think it's a repetition, but still, just give that answer. Yeah, good. Operational risk. So I have already explained the other risk. A corporation has established, this is the last question I'm going to do today. A corporate, by next class I will be starting on time with the questions. Then only I will be getting into cost of labor. A corporation has established a risk management process to help it create, protect, and enhance share. That's the goal of ERM. Corporation has established a risk management process, right? Every risk management process has got the goal to help it create, protect, and enhance shareholder value. Okay, so they have a true ERM viewpoint, right? Which of the following reflects the best order for that risk process? What is the risk? Like, what are the 5 steps there? And then can you give that order there? Time is over. Can you give the answer? Good. Thank you, Sami. So you are setting the objective. You are identifying the risk facing that objective. You are assessing that, and you will be prioritizing risk, and then you will be going for appropriate risk response. So one step is missing, but objective stepping is the starting point. Risk, identify risk, assess risk, and prioritize risk, and formulate appropriate risk response. Then what is the last step? Monitoring, right? So it is not violating the order. Then risk identification, objective setting should not be there after the CC or event is actually affecting your objective, so this is wrong. Risk assessment, risk response, objective setting coming here, this is also wrong, right? And even otherwise also identification, event identification will be coming before the assessment, right? Then risk assessment objectives here, also objective setting coming after this, so this is not correct. Even otherwise also risk identification should come after this thing, that is correct order, but then whole thing is wrong. Okay, it's time. See you then day after tomorrow. Bye.